everybody, it is Dean Z speaking to you from Jeffries Hall, and today I want to talk to you about personal statements. Just calling it a cornucopia of topics about personal statements would be going too far, because it's really just two topics. I can't think of the right metaphor, but cornucopia is the wrong one, so we'll start with that. But here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about difficult topics and then like really common topics. So, you know, maybe there are two ends of a spectrum here. So, and I've gotten a lot of questions about the first one in particular, about difficult topics. Specifically, if I may read, I'm an idiot, so I forgot to write down the name of the person who submitted this question, but thank you to whoever it was. But they were asking about, you know, politics, and if, you know, what are the risks and rewards of letting your political views be known? And then they also asked, I wanted to speak about how a comment changed my perspective on an issue of gender inequality completely by exposing how blinded I was to certain facts and certain advantages I've been given in life. My fear is that writing this, I would either come off as insincere or obnoxious for holding the opinion I held in the first place. So I really like that question. So let's start with the difficult topics one. So I would say, if you are inclined to talk about, you know, something difficult, something that you think may expose you as obnoxious, in the words of the question asker, or that it might be on something that a reader will vehemently disagree with you, I'd say go for it, but be so aware of what you're doing. That kind of topic has the potential for greatness, right? And as opposed to just like being fine, which is, you know, also fine. But why do I say that? Is, you know, one of the things you're trying to do as a application reader is to really get a sense of who the person is. And if people keep it at the very surface level, you get some clues, you know, here and there about what they're all about, but it's really hard to piece together. And that can be, you know, if you just feel like, I just didn't get to know them, that's often, unless in the absence of something else amazing in the application, that's often someone who ends up on the wait list as opposed to getting an offer. So you want to use this writing exercise to get yourself an offer, not land on the wait list. But what do I mean when I say, you know, you got to keep this in mind? You have to at all times be thinking, if you're writing something controversial, you have to at all times be thinking about you are talking to someone who vehemently disagrees with you. You will be doing that in the law, and figuring out how to do that respectfully and without giving offense. That can be done, but it's challenging. And if you pull it off, it's amazing. So when I graduated from law school, I clerked for a judge whose political views were very different from mine. I will say that in 99% of the cases that we had, that mattered not at all. Most, even federal appellate cases, are not actually that political, believe it or not. And when the views did matter, I of course always deferred to him. He was the judge, I was not, and I felt like I learned a lot about those views from hearing him talk about how he wanted the case to come out. And then when I went on to be a lawyer, I would often, you know, sort of imagine myself arguing in front of him and thinking, what would appeal to him? What would he say if I say this? What's he going to say back? If I say this, is this just going to annoy the heck out of him? Probably, right? So what can I say that might appeal to him? Now, I'm not saying that you're actually going to change people's minds with your personal statement and have them come around to your point of view, but you don't have to do that. What you have to do is have the boldness to express who you really are, and then the writing talent and take the care to not give offense. And that is an eminently attainable goal. If you feel like, I have not actually spoken to someone whose point of view is different than mine on this, well, then it might be a little more difficult, but you know, you might want to seek those views out before you write on it and sort of just get a sense of what are the best, strongest arguments against your own personal viewpoint. And I wouldn't, when I'm talking with friends about a topic that I feel passionately about, where we all agree, we can get, a little crazy, right? Don't write like that. I don't even know how to spell the sounds I just made, so I don't think you can write like that. But, it's a professional setting, right? So, don't go your most passionate. But yeah, I think you are very safe. And I don't say this sort of in the abstract. I mean, I have received essays like this, and I love them. And they're the ones that often really stick out in my mind. So I would strongly encourage you to do it. And frankly, the person who asked me this question about, will I seem obnoxious or something, that shows a fairly high level of self-awareness, which I think is the trick to pulling this off. So I don't know if you're not self-aware, that you will know that you're not self-aware. So that's kind of a conundrum. But I guess that's a good time to be showing this essay to someone else who is a trusted advisor, and tell them, ask them, does it seem effective to you? Maybe show it to a few people, because, judgments differ. Okay, so that's the controversial type of topic. What do I mean by the, a bland topic, or, we use the word typical often when we are talking about, in my office, about certain kinds of personal statements. And it's a personal statement that is on a common topic that is treated in a very predictable fashion. Again, it's not the worst kind of essay in the world. It's just not one that lifts up an application into a superior application. It's so what are some examples? Study abroad, very common experience, often talked about in very similar terms. Teach for America, similarly. Many people do this. Many people talk about it in the exact same way. Formulaic, maybe, is the word I am looking for here, more than typical. But you want to, whenever you're writing a personal statement, you want it to be personal. You want it to be one that if you handed it to someone else, it would not make any sense for them to submit it. That would not be something that they believed or had been experiences they had. So you have to, this is all about detail. You have to include pertinent details and really sort of dig deep to come up with a lesson that you want to impart to the reader. So, you should always be asking yourself, why am I choosing this topic? What do I want this to demonstrate about myself? And, people use the term snowflake in an insulting way, but I like to think we're all snowflakes in the sense that we are all a little bit different from each other, right? So there's got to be something about you and a given experience that is unique to you, maybe, hopefully, multiple things. So that's what you need to be going for. So I would never when someone says oh, don't write about that, everybody writes about that, it's so boring. That's just wrong, that's just bad advice. If there's something you really want to write about, even if it is something that many people write about, you should write about it, but you need to do it in a way that is digging deep and being interesting and thinking about why this particular experience really made you who you are, and describe who you are too. So I hope that makes sense. I want to be encouraging about a range of topics here, because I feel like your own intuitions about what reveals the most about you in a relevant way are the right intuitions. And I love reading good personal statements, so I hope my advice will help you craft one. All right, so this is pretty short, but that's all I have to say about that. Now let's talk about language. I want to tell you about a term. Well, here's what happened. It's a little story. I was with two people, one of whom was a recent law grad, one of whom was not. And the recent law grad was sort of complaining in an idle way about studying for the bar and how it's a little boring. And he said, I'm studying about promissory estoppel. And the non-law grad said, what the hell is promissory estoppel? And I said, it basically just means a promise that stops you from doing something. And the law grad was like, oh my God, yeah, that's right. That's how I always remembered it. Estoppel is just, hold on, I wrote this down somewhere. Oh, here it is. Estoppel is a probable alteration of the French word estopper, stopping. So there you go. It means stopping. And promissory means, it does mean a promise. So it's like a promise that you made that keeps you from doing something else. And that really is how lawyers came to rule the world, by taking normal words, making them slightly longer, adding a couple syllables, and confounding everybody in the process and making you think you need to hire a lawyer. But I'm in favor of it because I'm a dean of admissions at a law school, right? So don't knock it. All right, that's all I got to say about that. Thanks as always for watching. If you have comments or questions or want me to address any particular topic, please leave it in the notes below or email us at law.jd.admissions@umich.edu and put vlog in the subject line. Thank you as always to Dustin Johnston, who is, by the way, sporting a wide array of paint enamel on his nails put there by his delightful child. And I don't know, I guess I'm just assuming that, because I feel it, whatever. Anyway, and wherever you go, go blue.